Everyone, thanks for stopping by and seeing what I'm up to. You can call me Nikki, and we're here at Silkyfeather's nest. That's Nikki B, as in Bumblebee. We are going to unfuck your habitat. You are better than your mess. Rachel Hoffman, and it's read by Emily Wu Zeller. Now, I am probably going to have some things repeated on this next audio. Please do hit that like and subscribe. I have decided to go with chapters instead of little tidbits. So this chapter is 28 minutes and 26 seconds. So I am about to indulge in learning how I can unfuck my habitat.
2. Unfucking your own habitat. Building habits. More stuff than storage. Cleaning basics. Small spaces. Building habits. It's really easy to decide you're going to make broad, sweeping changes to your life and the way you interact with your stuff. It's a hell of a lot harder to actually do it. The larger the change you're hoping to make, the harder it is to make it. Expecting to just wake up one morning with a clean, organized home and the ability to keep it that way is just setting yourself up for all kinds of disappointment. There's a reason that all of your past attempts haven't been successful. You can't change everything all at once, and you shouldn't try to. One of the main reasons so many of us fail to maintain our homes, even if we manage to get them clean in the first place, is because we haven't done anything to change our habits. Marathon cleaning is not a habit. It's a one-time deal, an intermittent and unpredictable binge with nothing to follow it up. In between marathon sessions, you aren't doing anything to prevent yourself from needing to do another one down the road. The only way we can be successful in not just getting, but keeping our homes clean is by changing our daily habits, both large and small. Actually, the small changes are the most important. They require the least amount of time investment and the least amount of thought, but over time, those small habits are going to be what make the biggest difference overall. Completely restructuring the way you think about and approach cleaning is a massive undertaking, and not everyone can do it easily. What you can do, though, is flip a series of tiny switches in your behavior that add up to noticeable, sustainable changes. Once these habits are second nature to you, you'll find your overall mess is reduced by a lot, and the amount of time you spend dealing with it will drastically decrease too. These changes are useful because each one is relatively small, and small changes are so much easier to make and maintain than big ones. So by incorporating each of these small habits into your everyday life, you'll be making a big difference without having to completely change your mindset. And because of that, you'll be in a much better position to keep up with things where you may have failed to do so before. Do a little bit every day. This ties back to 2010s and incremental progress. By doing something, anything, every day, you avoid the need for a massive cleaning session once a month or once a year or just once ever, whatever it is you've been doing. If you're doing even a small amount of work on a daily basis, you not only catch up with the mess you've made that day, but also help yourself get a little bit ahead of the curve by making a dent in your baseline mess. Over time, you'll find that with just one 20-minute session on the days you don't have time, you can start in on the bigger projects that have been plaguing the landscape of your home for longer than you can remember. As far as not having the time, especially during the week when you're working or at school or trying to keep up with everyone in your household and the million things you're each involved in, well, I'm pretty sure we all manage to find 20 minutes to catch up on Facebook or to see what's on Netflix. So it's not that we don't have time. It's just that we're choosing to prioritize the little bits of time we do have differently. Use your leisure time wisely. About that Netflix thing. We're extremely lucky to live in a technologically advanced, highly mobile era. But these privileges can be an incredibly effective distraction, allowing us to lose hours at a time to do something that's caught our interest. Do something while you're catching up on your series. Fold clothes and pair up all of your socks. Bring the laptop into the kitchen and clear off a counter. Find a 20-minute podcast you like and use it as a soundtrack while you catch up on dishes. You don't have to stop your life in order to clean. You can integrate a little bit of housework into what you're already doing. When you're trying to incorporate a small cleaning session into each day, you may find it helpful to get your 20 minutes in as soon as you get home, before you change out of your outside clothes and while you're still in a working mindset. Once your mind transitions to, I'm home, I'm relaxed, and I'm going to be living on the couch in my underwear until I go to bed, it's really difficult to transition back into, maybe I should load the dishwasher. Figure out when you're likely to be able to squeak a tiny bit of productivity out of your tired self, and make it a point to do something when you can. Use your waiting time efficiently. We all have short spans of time during our day when we're stuck waiting for something else to finish before we can move on to the next thing. Learning how to use that time instead of letting it pass is a great habit to get into. While your coffee is brewing in the morning, unload the dishwasher from last night. Once you put dinner on to simmer or bake, wash all of your prep dishes so there's less to do later. Does your shower take a while to heat up? Use that dead time, and a sponge soaked with enough water, to wipe down the bathroom counters. While the microwave is going, wash a few dishes. Every little bit helps, and it's time that you'd be wasting by staring off into space anyway. Might as well be productive, right? There are a million little things we can do while we're waiting on other things. What's great about almost all of them is that they're really easy, low investment, low commitment things that still make a big difference. Once you start doing this, you'll find yourself surprised by how little time it actually takes to do things compared to how much time you're assuming it will. Get into the habit of not staying idle while life annoyingly takes time to happen around you. Put it away, not down. One of the most effective habits for keeping our chaos under control is putting things away where they belong, instead of just setting them down. Every time you set empty packaging on the counter instead of putting it in the recycling bin. Every time you kick your shoes off and leave them wherever they land instead of sticking them back in the closet. Every time you return from a shopping trip and set the bags on the counter instead of putting the items away, you're making the mess worse. By being mindful about where items end up, you can keep the chaos from escalating. Once you have a clean surface, room, or home, the very act of simply returning things to their proper place will make more of a difference than almost anything else. Don't have a home for all your things? You need one. Go straight to more stuff than storage. Once you start becoming aware of where you're putting things, you'll notice that it's not really as much work as you think to put things away instead of setting them down wherever. The best part about changing this particular habit is that the better you become at it, the less you have to clean up later on. It's basically a gift from right now you to future you. You're never going to look back and say, boy, I'm glad I just left all that stuff I bought the other day out on the counter so I'd have to deal with it later or pretend it doesn't exist. Future you is going to resent the hell out of right now you for not putting that shit away when you got home. But how awesome is it to look at a previously cleaned countertop that's still clean because you're not using it as a way station for every bit of crap that you bring through the door? A little bit of effort in the present is going to save you a ton of time in the future. Mini challenge. Look around. Find 10 things that aren't where they belong. Put them away. Make your bed. I can hear you whining from here. Seriously. I know you don't want to make your bed. I know you don't see the point. I've heard every excuse and rationalization imaginable for not making your bed, and some that I definitely had never imagined. But a messy bed makes a room look messier, and a made bed brings a focal point of cleanliness and order, making even a messy room look a little bit better. It's also a small but obvious form of control over your environment. Unmade beds are agents of entropy. They're only going to get worse. First, the bedding is in disarray. Then laundry starts to pile up on it. Then there's so much other stuff on it that there's no room to sleep unless you toss everything on the floor. Sometime later, you realize you can't remember when you last washed your sheets. Taking a minute to make your bed immediately snaps some order into the chaos. It's also a great place to start if you aren't ready to tackle anything more complex. It's one step, one tiny thing you do in the morning, and then you're done. Bed Making 101. Making your bed doesn't have to be a complicated production. Just pull the sheets up, straighten the blankets, and put the pillows back where they belong. If you're someone who believes your bed needs to breathe, although you do much more in the war against dust mites by washing your sheets on a regular basis and giving your mattress a semi-regular vacuuming, some people are really into the idea that beds need to breathe. Fold your sheets and blankets down neatly by the foot of the bed and arrange your pillows. Oh, and I can just hear some of you now. Why should I make my bed? I'm just going to mess it up later anyway. Well, smartasses, you wash your dishes even though you're going to use them later. You hang your clothes up even though you're going to wear them later. You throw your trash away even though you're going to make more later. The continued use of an item doesn't mean you never have to clean or maintain it. Just make your damn bed. You'll be surprised at how much cleaner your bedroom looks from that one thing. There's this fundamental resistance that people have to making their beds, which comes from a whole lot of different places. Most often, it's because you were made to do it as a child, and refusal to do it as an adult is a way of reclaiming some control over your environment. And that's totally fine. It's human nature to rebel against structure that has been imposed on us, especially in our younger years when we had little to no power of our own. If that's the case, it may be difficult to come back around to choosing to make your own bed, but perhaps with time, you'll see the benefit and decide to do it. Keep your flat surfaces clear. This is as much psychological as anything else. Flat surfaces like counters, tables, dressers, nightstands, etc. tend to accumulate a lot of crap. When they're all piled up with stuff, visually, they're messy. They're overwhelming. They make everything look bad, and the whole thing makes you feel like conquering your mess is hopeless. By keeping the most visible flat surfaces clear on a daily basis, you'll have tangible proof that your cleaning and organizing efforts do, in fact, make a difference. There are practical benefits, too. Most messes tend to build up on flat surfaces, so when you clear them off, you're not just playing mind games with yourself. You're actually tackling a fairly significant portion of your overall mess. Even if you can't clean everything, you can still get one table or counter completely clear and keep it that way with minimal effort every day. That one surface is going to go a long way toward a cleaner home in general. Surface Cleaning 101. Pick a surface that you see multiple times a day that tends to accumulate clutter. Devote 1 or 2 or 5, no judgment here, 2010s to clearing it off completely. And then take 5 minutes or so every day to reset it back to clean. If your kitchen counter always ends up a mess of shopping bags, junk mail, and random things you just drop there because it's easier, make that your focus. If your nightstand is so crowded that you can't fit your phone on it overnight to charge, that might be a good place to start. Pick somewhere highly visible that tends to amass more crap than seems possible, and clear it off. Make sure you aren't just relocating the mess somewhere else. Find a logical home for each thing and put it away. If you make this into a daily habit, stuff won't have the chance to turn your flat surfaces into giant, unmanageable disaster zones. Unfuck tomorrow morning. Let's face it, mornings are chaos. We wait until the last possible minute to wake up, get ready for the day half asleep, usually forget something critical in our mad rush, and fly out the door basically unprepared for the day ahead because we've just completely run out of time to get ready. None of us are at our best when we're bleary-eyed and trying not to be late. In keeping with our theme of a little bit of effort now saves you a lot of work later, try setting up a nightly routine that makes the next morning go a little more smoothly. I know. This just reeks of your mom yelling at you to lay out your outfit the night before school. But work with me a little bit here. It makes sense. Think realistically about what trips you up in the morning. Do you lose time trying to find matching shoes or your keys? Is trying to throw together a last-minute lunch costing you time? Or money and takeout, because let's face it, that's way easier. Do you forget to take your meds only to realize when you're on the road and your pills are at home? Forgotten? Get all that shit together the night before and make your morning that much easier. Doing 20 minutes worth of work before bed can save you endless aggravation in the morning. Remember, future you will appreciate whatever right now you manages to do to make life a little easier. How to unfuck tomorrow morning. Tonight. Wash the dishes in your sink. Get your outfit for tomorrow together, including accessories. Set up coffee, tea, breakfast. Make your lunch. Put your keys somewhere obvious. Take your medication. Set out your meds for the morning. Charge your electronics. Pour a little cleaner in the toilet bowl, if you don't have pets or children or sleepwalking adults. Set your alarm. Go to bed at a reasonable hour. Trash goes in the trash can. Seems pretty basic, right? Well, take a look around and see how many dryer sheets, pieces of food packaging, supermarket flyers, napkins, shopping bags, and other assorted pieces of trash you have sitting around. It's a fact of human nature. Sometimes the trash doesn't make it to the trash can. Same goes for recycling. While this is certainly an extension of put it away, not down, it also requires a little bit of self-awareness. What trash are you creating? And what do you do with it once you create it? Packaging is a common culprit here. You buy something new, take it out of the packaging, and get right to using it. Meanwhile, the empty packaging is sitting on the counter where you left it, forgotten forever. Or at least until your next big cleanup. Just a few extra seconds and a couple more steps can solve that problem. If you don't have some kind of trash receptacle in every room, get one. Throwing your trash away is a lot easier when it doesn't require a special trip. Make sure your recycling bin is accessible too. It's not worth it to invest in some kind of complex sorting system if it's too far away or so inconvenient to get to that you'll never use it. The solution can be as simple as another trash can, designated just for recycling, stored right next to your existing trash can. Don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. Of course, part of this habit is taking the trash and recycling out of your house on a regular basis. If you have a designated trash pickup day, make sure you're keeping up with it. If not, assign yourself a day when you take all the garbage and recyclables wherever they need to go once they leave your home. Do the dishes every day. Listen, it's just a fact that dirty dishes multiply infinitely until they fill up every square inch of available space in your home. The longer you leave them, the more they breed. Until the best option to deal with them seems to be lighting a match and hoping a nice cleansing fire will make them go away. But it doesn't have to be this way. If you can manage to incorporate doing your dishes into your daily routine, you'll only need to invest a few minutes at a time in dealing with them, rather than having to set aside the better part of an afternoon. And best of all, no fire involved. Dishes are probably the most hated household chore in existence, and they also tend to be some of the worst contributors to a mess. Those two things are not a coincidence. Dishes are such a problem because we hate dealing with them. But if you keep up with your dishes every single day rather than letting them sit and fester, they become just a tiny annoyance rather than an undefeatable enemy. Try to get into the habit of dealing with your dishes immediately after using them. If doing the dishes is just as much a part of mealtime as food preparation and eating, you'll soon find that the dish problem isn't that much of a problem after all. Wash, dry, and put it away, goddammit. Laundry and dishes have 3 steps, everyone. It's not done until it's put away. Be honest. How much laundry do you have sitting around where it doesn't belong? Clean clothes languishing in laundry baskets? Finished loads sitting in the dryer? And let's not forget the ever-present wardrobe. Your floor, or chair, bed, desk, is not the best place to keep your clothes. I bet you have dressers and or closets and such designed especially to deal with all of those clothes. The trouble is, they're not going to do you any good unless you use them. First things first, though. You can't put things away if everything doesn't have a home. So make sure you have enough storage for your stuff, and if not, it's time to look into less stuff or more storage. Less stuff is almost always the better and easier answer. Once you have adequate storage, you actually need to use it. Putting your clothes away saves you from doing a ton of laundry too, because sometimes you just scoop stuff up and wash it, even if you're not sure it's actually dirty. You know you do. It's easier than taking a couple of extra seconds to figure out whether or not you can wear it again. Make sure all of your laundry has a place, so that when you do a load or two, putting it away isn't a major feat of engineering and organization. Once you have a home for everything, the only reason for leaving clean clothes all over the place is your own unwillingness to take a few extra minutes to put them away. It's okay. We've all been there. But now we're trying to get past it. Make it a habit to get clean clothes to where they belong immediately after everything is dry, rather than leaving things neglected in the dryer, in the laundry basket, or on the drying rack, or on the floor. As far as dishes go, washing them is great, but it's a big pain in the ass process that none of us enjoys. It's gross and your hands get all wet and you have to stand up for a long time and it's just tedious. If you're facing a sink full of dirty dishes, there's very little in the world that's less appealing than having to take the time to wash them and leave them to dry. Including the additional step of putting them away makes the whole process seem even crappier. Even if you're lucky enough to have a dishwasher, you still need to load it and run it, which is kind of annoying too. So I understand the inclination to want to stand back and celebrate once you've gotten the damn things washed. Really, I do. But you aren't done until they're put away. Running the dishwasher is all well and good, but if your sink is accumulating a mountain of dirty dishes because your clean ones are still camped out in the dishwasher, well, your dish system isn't working so well. Put them away. Same rules apply if you hand wash and use a drying rack. Either put them away as soon as they're dry, or help the process along by grabbing a dish towel and drying them right away. The habit of put it away, goddammit, is a fairly advanced one because it adds time to an already unpleasant process, and it requires expending extra effort after you've already worked pretty hard on getting the stuff clean and dry. It takes a little longer to incorporate into your everyday routine. But once you've gotten into the habit of putting your dishes and laundry away, you'll find yourself so much further ahead of the game than you started out. Mini challenge. Do you have laundry that needs to be put away? Go put 10 items away. Maybe even empty a whole laundry basket. Deal with your invisible corners. After you've been living somewhere for a significant amount of time, you start to accumulate things in spaces I refer to as invisible corners. Invisible corners are those areas that have become dumping grounds for random crap for so long that you fail to really register them when you look around. Maybe it's a pile of unshredded mail and random electronic accessories stashed under an end table, or a stack of unpacked boxes in a little used closet, or that jumble of daily detritus that permanently lives on the kitchen counter. Whatever and wherever your particular collections of stuff are, chances are they've been there long enough that you barely see them anymore, even when they're right in your way day in and day out. Invisible corners can contribute to the overall mess in a way that you might not realize. After spending a bunch of time doing your regular maintenance cleaning, you may find that your space still doesn't feel clean for some reason. That might be due to an invisible corner or two that's leading to an overall feeling of disarray. These spots, for some reason, have proven to be convenient or easy places to stash things you aren't dealing with. So they become a jumble of miscellaneous stuff that just grows and grows over time, unnoticed and unaddressed. To find your invisible corners, it might be necessary to employ some before pictures, or even another set of eyes. You might be registering these areas in the same way you register your walls or furniture. Not at all. You know they're there, but they never sink in as something you actually need to deal with. So consider taking a 360-degree set of pictures and really looking at them to see what spots you have that need to be dealt with. Or bring in a trusted friend or family member to take a look around and see what jumps out. A fresh set of eyes is sometimes all it takes to point out areas that are obvious to others but invisible to you. Invisible corners can exist anywhere, large or small, hidden or exposed. You may have them in your refrigerator, in a closet, in the middle of the living room, in your front entryway, at the foot of your bed, anywhere. They can consist of just 3 or 4 items, or they can be stacks and stacks of boxes containing dozens of things each. Regardless of the size or scope of the invisible corner, it's not going to get any better unless you identify and disassemble it. The great thing about invisible corners is that they generally don't take that long to deal with. They've grown and accumulated stuff over who knows how long, but they can almost always be managed in a few 2010s. The difficult part is keeping them from reappearing. Something about those particular spots makes them prime dumping grounds for stuff, and you've already proven that you can ignore their existence on a daily basis. You may have success with rearranging things so that the spot is no longer able to accumulate stuff, or you may need to add it into your maintenance cleaning routine. Whatever method you employ to deal with them, make sure your invisible corners aren't reappearing due to inattention. Tackle an invisible corner. Take a set of pictures of one main room in your home, making sure every part of the room is in at least one picture. Identify an invisible corner that needs to be cleaned up. Set a timer for 20 minutes and work on it, taking a 10-minute break afterward. Repeat with another 2010 if needed, until the area is all cleaned up. Take pictures. Everyone loves a makeover. But the trouble with cleaning up your own mess is that sometimes when you're in the middle of it, it's really difficult to see any progress that you've made. Your brain is constantly updating its internal picture of what that space looks like, so you don't necessarily remember exactly how messy it was to begin with. Snapping a quick picture before you start, and then at intervals throughout the cleaning process, and finally when you're finished, accomplishes several things. First, after working for a while, you'll likely feel like you haven't made any noticeable progress. Having a clear before picture reminds you what it really looked like to start, and how far you've come. It can also be helpful in pointing out hidden areas that need attention. By letting you look at the environment from outside, a good before picture can help you turn a critical eye to the area and see things you may not have noticed before. Plus, once you're finished and the area is clean, you have visual proof of what you've accomplished, and also a reference to look at once things start getting messy again. When things start to accumulate and it all begins to feel hopeless, you can always refer back to your pictures to remind yourself that not only can you do it, but you have done it. Remind yourself that your home can be nice and clean, and that you have the ability to make it that way. Use your after pictures as a guide to help you remember what any particular area looks like when it's actually clean, and to serve as a rough template for how to get that space back to neat and organized. So, before you tackle that closet from hell or prepare to do battle with the crap that ate the dining room table, take a picture. Then snap a few during the process, and take one when you're done. Your brain may not see the improvements you've made, but your camera sure as hell will. It's your objective eye that sees things much more clearly and accurately than the ones in your head when you're in the middle of everything. Fire up the camera. It's worth it.
And that was chapter 6 of Unfuck Your Habitat, You're Better Than Your Mess by Rachel Hoffman, narrated by Emily Wu Zeller. I am Silkyfeather. You can call me Silky, Nikki B, Nikki B. I'm here. I'd like you to like and subscribe to my page. And I think I'm going to give everybody a little homework. Write down something that you accomplished this week, this month, or today. It doesn't matter. Or even this year, that you are happy and either proud of or just thankful it's over with. I find journaling to be sometimes a pain in the butt, and sometimes I find journaling very helpful. But I am so into this book. My living quarters have changed, and I can't wait to show before and afters. So, be kind to one another. Hit that like and subscribe button. This is Silky signing off. Bye-bye.